one of the things that we miscalculated in the 80s, because that was when I began ministry in the mid 80s. So I was in the midst of beginning ministry, particularly in the public square. And one of the things that we miscalculated was the magnitude of the backlash that was sort of taking shape in the form of Reaganomics, right? And one of the consequences of that, and this is why we have to learn from that, is that there were very many churches that got stuck with buildings that they got funded through these programs that were doing community work. But then once they got block granted and they weren't a part of revenue sharing between local government and federal government, but they got block granted, when the block grants stopped, what ended up happening was that there was infrastructure that was created that the community did not have the resources to sustain. So as a consequence, when you drive through many communities, you'll find that there is an educational center that's a moribund place, or you'll find that there was once a 501c3 that housed three nonprofits that's right next door to the church, and it's shuttered because those nonprofits don't have the wherewithal to maintain themselves. And I'm not saying this in any sort of way to sort of bring a word of pessimism, but what I'm suggesting is we have to learn. Part of what churches learned was a negative lesson, right? And the negative lesson that they learned was that when they became involved with these partnerships that were underwritten by very many of the sort of block granted programs, they were left holding the bag. And so part of what we have to, really begin to think about is that becomes a part of the mindset, right? And that becomes a part, certainly in the AME church, there's probably not a bishop that didn't come through that period and didn't pastor at least one of those churches that got left holding the bag. If you're in the CME Church, AME Zion Church, I know certainly in United Church of Christ. So all of which is to say that I think a part of what our strategy has got to be is to recognize why we're facing resistance and answer that by suggesting that the model that we are providing today recognizes two things. Number one, that times will change, but number two, that we can leverage it such that you don't get left holding the bag. So you can bring benefit and you can bring value to your community without investing your meager resources in something that will leave you with a plant that will actually hasten your demise.